Hello everyone, and welcome to another News Coolum video and another charging site review. I guess the last one I really planned to do in absentia, at least for now. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the EVgo site in Orland. Now, this is a charging site that, again, I use pretty regularly in Northern California when I'm driving around. It's in a small town, Orland, along Interstate 5, a little more than 100 miles north of Sacramento, and it has 4 BTC Power, the slim units that are 50 kilowatt, and then 2 of the J1772 chargers. Now, the sort of notable thing about this charging site is it was actually the location of one of the original Tesla Roadster chargers. Now, those were AC charging units. I forget exactly how much they output, but I think they were like 70 amp AC units, but they were roughly the equivalent of a J1772 level 2 AC charging. Now, it was just a single AC charger that they had there, but it was actually torn out, I believe, when this installation went in. I lost the footage of the actual charger there at the Berry Patch restaurant, which, it's now been not just removed, but someone grabbed it. I don't know if Tesla came and picked up the old unit or just someone came by and said, ooh, electronics, and grabbed it. But it used to be situated there, but it's since been removed. So now this EVgo charger is the only charging option that's on this site. But like I said, it's 4 BTC Power 50 kilowatt units with both CHAdeMO and CCS, and then 2 J1772 units. And it's in a very large parking lot just off of the freeway, right next to a restaurant, right next to a gas station. So it's a really nice site, really well located, easy to get to, easy to find, and really just very usable. But yeah, let's just jump right into a site score. So for accessibility, I'm actually giving this a 10 out of 10. I never give a 10 out of 10. So what's going on? Well, in this case, right, this charger is, it's nose in parking, but this is a big parking lot, and this is typically, or traditionally, it was used as overflow parking for semis. And if you know anything about semis, you'll know that they tow trailers and they're very long. And so even with nose in parking, you can pull all the way in and still hook up to these chargers. So even if you have a trailer, there's no reason why you can't just pull directly in and plug in without issue. You're not going to be blocking anybody as long as you're conscientious about how you're pulling in. So, hey, that's great. And then again, it's just off the freeway, right? Off ramp, on ramp, right there. So this is as convenient as any gas station. If you're towing a trailer, you just pull in nose first. You can still plug in and charge. You don't need to detach your trailer. It's exactly what you want for access. It's a huge parking lot. But so yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 for accessibility. For amenities, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Really, the only thing that this charger is missing is some sort of covering or protection for the chargers. And like I said, it would be nice if you did it for the cars as well. The main thing for the chargers, though, is they're south facing, and so they're getting all of that south sun. Again, Northern California is a very hot place, easily over 100, 105 degrees in summer a lot of the time. And so you have this sun beating directly down onto these chargers. It's going to do a number on the chargers. It's going to eventually burn out the screens. EVgo is going to have to replace them and do maintenance. And in the meantime, the cords are going to be hot. It's not going to be usable. Just cover the chargers. It really shouldn't be that difficult. But outside of that, everything else this site has, right? You're a little bit of a walk from like a coffee shop if that's what you want, but otherwise you're in the same facility as a sit-down restaurant, which of course current times is more of a takeout restaurant. And right next to a gas station. So yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch to say you're going to go over and grab a squeegee and whatnot. People might look at you a little bit funny, but as long as you're patronizing the actual convenience store, they're not going to really question you using their services, right? 24-hour bathrooms, all of that. It's just a well-located, good spot for travel. It's a 9 out of 10 for amenities. For site concentration, there are 4 DC fast chargers. I'm not really going to bump it up for the level 2 AC charger. I don't know exactly for this type of a spot what purpose those level 2 chargers would serve. You're gonna spend hours there? I don't think so. I guess maybe if you're gonna, they reopen up the sports bars or whatever and you're gonna sit around for a couple hours and watch a game maybe, but otherwise, no, the level 2 chargers don't really add anything to this site, but the 4 DC fast chargers do. That's what sort of makes this site. And right now I consider 3 chargers to be sort of the average, right? The 5 out of 10 benchmark. So this has more and more than that, so it's getting a 6 out of 10 for site concentration. I would really like to actually see 6 chargers at this site. I think it warrants it. I think there's room for it. I think it would be good to have, especially if those chargers were faster than 50 kilowatts. As it is, 4 chargers is sort of a standard site in Northern California. It'll be good enough for a while, even though it is on I-5, a major corridor. But still, I would like to see it bumped up a little bit. So it's getting a 6 out of 10 for site concentration. Now, for location, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. Again, this is right along Interstate 5. This is a key travel corridor in Northern California. It's also a connecting route on Highway 32 if you're going east-west, which a lot of people do use. So, I wouldn't discount that value either. It's not as popular of a route as like, say, Highway 299 through Redding or Highway 36 through Red Bluff. But Highway 32 is still a traveled route, and it is one where if you're in Northern California, a lot of times you'll go through Orland to get to Chico. So it is a connecting route in that regard, plus the fact that it's on Interstate 5. So this is really, again, one of those sort of intersections, corridors. This is a regular stopping point. I have to kind of go back to this where, growing up in Northern California, this is, a common fueling point, a common stopping point, and then the fact that they have a restaurant there and other services there. It's a very important location. It's not really necessarily going to help the local population as much because in Northern California, most people have access to charging at home, at least a wall socket. The main thing that it's going to help is people with small battery electrics where if they have to drive 40, 50 miles to go pick up groceries, to do shopping, to pick up their prescriptions or whatever, this will allow them to at least consider a shorter range electric vehicle as an option because that extra support and scaffolding is there to allow them to travel regionally. So it's just all around an important charger. So it's a 9 out of 10 for location. For speed, it's 5 out of 10, just average 50 kilowatt chargers. And that's a little bit disappointing because we know EVgo can do better than this. I've seen their 100 kilowatt charging sites. I've seen their 150 kilowatt charging sites. I've seen their 350 kilowatt charging sites. So EVgo does put in faster chargers, and that's important for EVgo in particular because they're still charging by the minute, right? So you're paying the same for a 30 kilowatt charger as you are for a 350 kilowatt charger. That should never happen. EVgo, I think, really needs to start upping their game in terms of charging speed. Now we know that Nissan is paying about $60 million for, I believe it's 200 100 kilowatt chargers for EVgo's expansion, and then we know that GM is just dropped the mic on paying for 2,700 chargers that are 100 kilowatt to 350 kilowatt. Unfortunately, it sounds like they're all interested in putting them in metropolitan regions, but this is where they need to go. even as a supplement, right? If GM just said, hey, look, we know that we primarily are targeting those metropolitan regions, but you have all of these great charging locations along the freeway. We want to put in 2 350 kilowatt chargers at each of your really conveniently located EVgo charging sites along the freeway. That would go a long way. Even if it was just a couple 150 kilowatt chargers out of that big, massive 2,700 charger fund that GM is paying for, I think it would go a long way in improving both EVgo's network, but improving the experience for the average EV owner. So, but until that happens, these 50 kilowatt chargers, they're just average, 5 out of 10 for speed. And so that brings us to a total site score of 39 out of 50. So it's just short of a B. It's such a great site, and it's just like middling things that are holding it back. So I really hope that EVgo maybe considers some ways that they can really improve their network. You know, they have their reliability down. They have good locations. For the most part, their sites are well configured. It's just that they need to do something to improve the speed and to protect their chargers and to just push it over a little bit over the edge. And hopefully, like I said, with this infusion of funds from the likes of Nissan and GM, and who knows, maybe some other automakers, EVgo can really up their game, maybe focus a little bit more on the travel corridors like this. So I'm hopeful for EVgo, and this site I think it's a very solid, it's a very good, it's a very usable site. Like I said, I use it a lot, and I think a lot of travelers are going to benefit from it. I'd love to hear what you think. Have you had a chance to use this site in Orland, in Northern California? Do you drive through Northern California a lot, or take Interstate 5 or Highway 32 through Northern California? What do you think? Do you think I'm off base about maybe thinking that EVgo should focus a little bit more on travel corridors rather than major metropolitan areas, and maybe bolster some of their highway sites that are currently in place so that they're a little bit better and a little bit more usable for EV owners for traveling? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and thank you for watching.